Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students. Today's lecture is about the structure of atom. It is the unit 2. Rutherford was the first scientist who proposed the first atomic model, and what he did during his experiment, he has taken a thin gold foil, and thickness of this gold foil was 0.00004 centimeter. And what he did with this gold foil, he bombarded the alpha particles on this gold foil. Now what are the alpha particles? Alpha particles are actually the helium nuclei. They carry the +2 charge or doubly positive charge. Helium, you have learned that helium has the atomic number 2. This indicates that helium has 2 electron and 2 proton. So when these 2 electrons are lost by the helium, it will carry the +2 charge. In the same way, alpha particles have the +2 charge, and these alpha particles are taken by the disintegration of the polonium. Disintegration means by the breakdown of the polonium atom. So what he observed by his experiment when he bombarded these alpha particles on the gold foil, he observed that most of the particles, they passed straight through this foil. You can see in the pink color, it is the fluorescent screen. When alpha particles fall in this fluorescent screen, they produce the light. So from this, he observed that these particles have passed through the gold foil straight, and only few particles were slightly deflected. You can see the deflection of these particles on the right and left side. Very few particles have deflected slightly, and 1 in 1 million was deflected through an angle greater than 90 degree from their straight path. You can see here that very few particles, you can say it is 1 in 1 million, they are deflected at an angle greater than 90 degree. Now Rutherford performed a series of experiments. Means he is not done only one experiment. He performed a number of experiments and he observed the similar results. On the basis of his observation, Rutherford drew the following conclusions. First one, as I have told you, that majority of the alpha particles, they have passed through the gold foil and fall on the fluorescent screen. This shows that there is some empty space present in that foil. So on this base, he concluded that majority of the alpha particles pass through the foil undeflected. It means most of the space occupied by an atom must be empty. Obviously, there is empty spaces present. That is why these alpha particles have passed through that foil. In the second, you can see the deflection of the few alpha particles through the angle greater than 90 degree. What it shows that the particles are deflected by the electrostatic repulsion between the positive charged alpha particles and positively charged part of the atom. Deflection of the alpha particles greater than 90 degree. Why these particles deflected? It is due to the repulsion between the positively charged alpha particles. As this name indicates, alpha particles has the positive charge. They carry the +2 charge. So the alpha particles have the positive charge. In the same way, in the atom, there is some positive region is present. A region is present which has the positive charge. So due to these both positive charge, positive charge on the alpha particle and positive charge on the atom, due to these both positively charged, they will repel each other. As you have learned that the same charges, they repel each other. So due to this electrostatic repulsion, these particles are deflected at an angle greater than 90 degree. So secondly, he concluded that there is some positive region is also present in the atom. And third is the massive alpha particles are not deflected by the electrons, as electrons carry the negative charge, and alpha particles, they carry the positive charge. So these alpha particles are not deflected by the electrons. On the basis of his conclusion, Rutherford proposed the structure of the atom, or model of the atom, and that was similar to our solar system. You can say that it is the planetary model. An atom is a neutral particle, means an atom does not carry any charge. The mass of an atom is concentrated in a very small dense positive charge region, and he named this positive region as nucleus. So it means all the atom, they have some positive region. That region is called the nucleus. Electrons are revolving around the nucleus in the circles, and the circles on which the electrons are revolving, they are called the orbits. In simple words, orbit mean the path on which electron is revolving. And the last point is centripetal force due to the revolution of electron balances the electrostatic force of attraction between the nucleus and the electron. As you have seen that nucleus is the positive region, it has the positive charge, and electron is a negatively charged particle. So there will be the force of attraction between the nucleus and electron, as they have the opposite charges. So there will be force of attraction between these two. So this electrostatic force of attraction is balanced by the centripetal force. And from where this centripetal force comes? This centripetal force produces due to the revolution of the electrons, due to the moving of electrons in the circles. Centripetal force is produced, and this centripetal force balances the electrostatic force of attraction between the nucleus and the electrons. Rutherford atomic model was a big achievement towards the structure of atom, but still there are the questions that were unanswered, and you know that unanswered questions are always a defect in a theory. So what the defects in the Rutherford atomic model? First one is the classical physics suggests that if a particle has a charge and it is continually moving, so a charged particle, when it continually moves, it should release the energy continually, it should emit the energy continually, and when it is continually revolving, or it is continually releasing the energy, so the orbit of this electron should become smaller and smaller, because electron is also the charged particle, it has a negative charge. So while revolving the electron around the nucleus, it should release its energy continually, and a time will reach when it will have the zero energy and it will fall in the nucleus. And if the electron fall in the nucleus, then there will be no more atomic structure, because the structure of atom is collapsed. But actually it does not happen. So Rutherford cannot explain this. Second point is the electron is revolving around the nucleus continually, and as it is revolving, it should radiate energy continually. So the spectrum formed by the electron, it should be the continuous spectrum, but actually we get the line spectrum. So this is also not explained by the Rutherford. You can see here the picture of the continuous spectrum. In continuous spectrum, there is no clear boundary of the colors. You can see the colors are merged into one another, and on the right side you can see the clear lines. It is the line spectrum. Clear boundary is shown here, so from where the one color started and ended, so it has the sharp boundaries. It is the line spectrum. So revolving electron should form the continuous spectrum, but actually line spectrum is obtained, and this defect is not answered by the Rutherford. The unanswered question left by the Rutherford is answered by the Bohr. He proposed the theory. The main postulate of his theory are: the electron in an atom revolve around the nucleus in one of the circular orbit. The same postulate is given by the Rutherford also. But what is the difference? In case of the Rutherford, he does not define the orbit have the particular energy. Bohr says that each orbit has a fixed energy, and if each orbit has a fixed energy, it means these are called the energy level. Each orbit having the fixed energy, so each orbit is also called as the energy level. It will have the fixed energy in it. Second postulate, the energy of the electron in an orbit is proportional to its distance from the nucleus. Greater the distance from the nucleus, greater will be energy of the orbit. So the electron that is away from the nucleus, it will have more energy. The electrons revolve only in those orbits for which the angular momentum of the electron is an integral multiple of h over 2 pi. Now concentrate on this third postulate. As the electrons are revolving in orbits, they are moving in circular form, so they will possess some momentum, and as they are moving in the circle, they will possess the angular momentum. So the angular momentum of the electron will be h over 2 pi or multiple of this. As there are different energy levels, so the angular momentum of the electron according to the energy level, there will be multiplied to the n value. So angular momentum of the electron will be the h over 2 pi or any multiple value of this, integral multiple value of this, and h here stands for the Planck's constant. Bohr says that each orbit has the fixed energy value. Energy of the each level is fixed, so the electron, when they are revolving in their fixed orbits, they will have the fixed energy. Their energy does not change. But when the electron change the orbit, they jump to the higher or towards the lower orbit, then energy changes will take place. Now how the energy changes take place, you can see in this picture clearly. Here the energy levels are given, n1, n2 and n3. These are three orbits and these are three different energy levels. So when the electron jump to the higher energy orbit, just like here you can see electron jump from n2 to the n3. From the second energy level, electron jump to the third energy level. Here the electron will absorb the energy. As in the postulate 2, you have learned that the greater the distance from the nucleus, greater will be the energy of the orbit. So n3 energy level has greater energy than the n2 energy level. So when electron will jump from n2 to the n3, from lower energy level to the higher energy level, it will absorb the energy. And in the same way, when the electron will jump from the higher energy level to the lower energy level, as in the yellow color you can see here, from n3 to the n2 electron jumps. From higher energy it jumps to the lower energy level. In this case, the electron will emit its extra energy. So in moving from lower to the higher energy level, electron absorb the energy, and on moving from higher energy level to the lower energy level, electron will emit its energy. And the energy difference of the two levels is calculated by the delta E. Here delta E stands for the E2 minus E1, because energy emitted by the electron will be the same as energy absorbed by the electron when it will jump from the higher towards the lower, or from towards the higher energy orbit. Thank you very much for listening me.